Hello everyone, welcome to Chandigarh Civil Services Academy's YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to talk about rights of sex workers. Now this section of the society is facing a lot of problems. What problems are they facing? What have the government done in that regard? And the Supreme Court's action recently with regards to rights of sex workers. So firstly, we'll look at all the problems which are faced by this section of society. So firstly, they don't have the proof of residence. So it's very difficult to acquire proof of identity such as voter card, ration card, etc. So this becomes a great hurdle to avail various government schemes also. So this is one problem. Another problem is that district authorities didn't recognize the identity of a sex worker. So they are identityless section of the society, which becomes a great hurdle in various aspects of life. No access to schemes meant for rehabilitation. So there are certain schemes which are meant for the rehabilitation of sex workers, which they can't avail if they don't have an identity card to prove that they belong somewhere. So a sense of belongingness is lacking amongst the section. There is no, similarly, without any kind of documentation, there will be no access to credit offered by the states. So we have looked at all the problems which are faced by the sex workers. Now, there have been certain directions by the Supreme Court to the center that we should form a law with regard which protects the rights of all the sex workers, but center has been very lackadaisical about this issue, and center still is very opinionated with regards to various recommendations by a panel which was formed by the Supreme Court. So there was a panel which recommended certain reforms for this section of society. So what were these recommendations and how did things went from there? We'll look at it now. So in 2020, dry rations to the sex workers were identified by an organization, and these rations were given without any kind of identity proof. So this was one positive step. Apart from that, identity proof को complete करने का process ये directions दी गई center को in 2022. And finally, the Supreme Court, using the powers of Section 142, it has ordered that certain recommendations of this panel, which are 6 out of 10 recommendations of this panel, will be implemented no matter what. Even if the law is not there, these recommendations are going to be implemented. So this you should know from prelims perspective, that under Section 142, Supreme Court can issue guidelines which can be implemented in all of India, and for that no law is required to be made. Even if the law is not there, if the Supreme Court has issued the directions, those directions are going to be implemented. These are the powers of the Supreme Court under Section 142. So from Main's point of view, this whole process is called judicial review. So when judiciary steps in the foot of legislature, this is called judicial review. The judiciary has identified a problem in the society and it has nudged the center about making laws about it, but center has not been very active in making the laws. So judiciary steps up and makes uses the powers under Section 142 in order to implement all the guidelines which are required to be implemented. So this is Section 142. Now, what are the recommendations which will now be implemented for this section of society called the sex workers? So firstly, there are going to be provisions for immediate medical assistance in case of a sexual assault on a sex worker. So there will be immediate medical assistance, firstly. Secondly, there are certain women who are detained against their will. So under the this act, the survey of immoral trafficking prevention act के अंडर जो प्रिवेंटिव होम्स लिस्टेड हैं, उन होम्स को रिव्यू किया जाएगा और आइडेंटिफाई किया जाएगा उन लेडीज को जो कि डिटेन्ड हैं अगेंस्ट देयर विल. So certain cases will be reviewed. Thirdly, sensitizing the police and other law enforcement agencies to rights of sex workers. So police और जो law enforcement agencies के officers होते हैं, they are sometimes ruthless with this section of society. So sensitizing them and making them aware about the rights of this section of society will help. Apart from that, there should be guidelines by the Press Council of India for media. What guidelines? That they should not reveal the identities of sex workers. So this will be done. Apart from that, methods employed by the sex workers for their health and safety must neither be construed as offense nor seen as an evidence of commission of an offense. So any kind of measure that they adopt for their health and safety, it should not be judged. So this was what was happening recently in news. I hope this is very well understood by each and every one of you. Any other suggestions are welcome in the comment section below. Thank you, everyone.